wearing my pessimistic outfits. And
so what happened? The market went up?
I know, I thought there was going to be blood in the markets, but I was mistaken. Let's kick off with Portugal. Portuguese government to vote on proposed fiscal austerity package. Interesting to note, they have been beating on the same drum that Greece was beating on prior to getting the bailout and to getting assistance from the ECB. They're saying they don't want that kind of assistance. Well, how do you see this playing out, Paul?
So they're the pea in pigs, right, the Portuguese, and now it's their turn. Apparently the Prime Minister, or is he the President, whose name is Socrates, sounds like a footballer, he says he's going to resign unless
it's actually a philosopher, but...
okay, true, that's true. I like a good point. Going back a few centuries.
Yes, of course.
So now he says he's going to go unless the opposition supports the austerity package, and clearly they need the austerity package to avoid going into some kind of default. But you know what I'm going to say next, and that is that Portugal has got an economy about the size of Egypt, which makes it even smaller than ours, which means there's no way as the Germans, who have a serious sized economy, are going to allow this thing to cause any trouble. So I'm sure whatever happens, whether Socrates goes or not, it's going to be fine. You know, they're just going to find some kind of plaster over here.
Okay, Paul, this is one of the big things when we look at European debt. It's not so much about who has the problem, it's about who we've given the problem to. So in other words, the banks in Germany, in France, the guys that are holding this debt.
Exactly. So in other words, all the banks and all the insurers, irrespective of where they're located, have other banks and other insurance companies holding the sovereign paper and holding each other's paper. So it's a contagion issue more than a specific Portuguese issue. So everybody gets all huffy and kind of trots out their favorite sort of jingoistic anti-nationalist sort of concern. Oh, you know, I don't like Portuguese or whatever. But that's why it's got to be resolved.
Don't you price in it all? I mean, I know that you investors.
Well, I mean, today it's just crazy. We've got, you know, Israel looking bad. There's a bomb in Jerusalem. We've got Libya, total mess. Egypt is still a total disaster zone. You know, you can go through them, Japan and so on, and yet the markets are holding up and going along, which tells you that in aggregate, the money that matters doesn't really care that these things are happening or assumes they're going to be resolved by one means or another.
It's interesting because South African markets were up quite a bit today. I mean, up over 1%. US markets coming under pressure. Egyptian markets down 9%.
Damn.
After various circuit breakers actually came into effect
and then
in today's trade.
went on again.
Exactly, went on again. I mean, Paul, looking at the balance of things, what are we seeing?
Well, obviously there's a lot to be negative about, and you've got to be worried with all this flying around. Some of it's going to stick. But like I keep telling people, it's the underlying global economic recovery story that people are trading. So we know that we're pricing in future earnings, and corporates don't look too bad, and. So, you know, this is all just noise.
Wal-mart, Massmart.
Now that's a much more specific issue.
May, yes.
You know, the unions and the government are hitting on the industrial policy issue and whether they're going to buy local, and they're also hitting on the issue of jobs. The third issue, which is getting no airtime, is the issue of how much these discount retailers contribute to the lowering of inflation over time. In other words, the fact that they bring all these cheap goods and make them available to middle-class income households, massive, massive social benefit. So forget about all that other stuff. That's the issue we should be focusing on.
I know you hold Massmart, Paul, so I don't expect you to say anything.
In fact, we don't anymore. We sold them all when they came through with a big bid. Then they said they were only going to buy out half.
Do you regret selling?
Well, we're looking at perhaps getting back in once the deal's been done and once that discount is kind of in the price and the deal is out and one could
Speaking of getting in and out of things, when do you plan to get out of PPC, if at all, given its dismal trading update yesterday? And someone actually said, were you heartbroken? I was thinking of you and I forgot to mention it yesterday. When are you going to get out of PPC, if at all? I mean, the cement sales scenario is playing out so dismally in the country. Absolutely.
No, but look, we were not in the construction stocks because, you know, they're even more volatile. But cement sales, if you look at it over the length of like 50 years, follows cycles.
This is the optimistic spin that you're going to give me.
No, it just follows cycles in gross domestic fixed investment. So the key is to try and work out where you are in that time frame and whether or not now's the time to be getting in. Clearly, they will start building again. Mark Wayne, who was just here, a big property owner, they'll start developing privately again. The question is just when.